What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Who's Reality Cooking podcast. I'm so excited to have Stephanie Norcio from School of Chocolate here with me today. What's up, Stephanie? How are you doing?
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm doing fantastic. It's nice to be talking to you.
Awesome. We always chat a couple of minutes before we jump on, and you had just mentioned that you just moved from Los Angeles to where are you at now?
So I'm located it's the small town called Kernville. It's in the Kern River Valley, and the Kern River Valley is about an hour past Bakersfield, California, and it's about 3 hours northwest of LA. So
Nice.
living a little bit of more of a country, lowercase life up here. It's very nice.
I love that. I love that. So, were you living in Los Angeles when the show started? What were you doing before the show started? And did it bring you to LA or were you already there?
I was already in LA, so I'm born and raised LA, specifically like the Long Beach area towards the coast, San Pedro. And then when I was filming in LA. We filmed for 2 months in Hollywood, and so I kind of moved from Long Beach to Hollywood to do the filming when we were doing the show. And I just kind of got tired of the congestion, and I needed a little bit more space, and that's why I decided to take a chance and move here.
That's great. So, did they sequester you guys in a hotel or were you just living in an apartment in Hollywood?
We actually were in an apartment in Hollywood. And so before the show started, we had to quarantine for 2 months because when we were filming, it was during the pandemic, probably like 6 months into it, we had to start quarantining. And then we were always just like door dashing and, shopping, how we would do it in the pandemic. But we all had our own apartments in this big apartment complex when we were filming.
Oh, wow. Wow. Did you have any favorite DoorDash places in Hollywood that you might want to give a
In
shout out to?
Hollywood, oh my gosh, I'd have to think of some. Maybe if I think of it by the end of this, I'll bring it up. But
Okay, I'll try to remember to bring it back up.
yeah, there's a few. Um,
Awesome. So you guys were all in the same apartment complex. Did they introduce you guys first, or did they just kind of bring you to your apartment? Or, basically what I'm getting at is, did you know anyone when you got there?
um, did I know anyone when we started? No. Kind of when we first started going into quarantine, we had a Zoom meeting, and the first time I saw everybody was via Zoom. And I did recognize Chef Tiago from like Food Network because Tiago has done, he's done at least, 8 to 9, I won't tell you, something around a dozen different Food Network shows. And he was voted. So, anyways, yeah, I wrote everyone's name down, hadn't met everybody, but immediately started like Googling everyone's names and realized, oh my gosh, Daniel was kind of another one that I was impressed by with his resume because he had done so many cake competitions and he was really experienced in that whole competition world. And then Melissa as well, a very experienced chocolatier in the
Yeah,
competition world. But yeah,
awesome.
everyone else we instantly kind of, once we met, clicked really, really well. And we're like, door dashing together and like Uber eating together our dinners. And we would kind of like sneak out of our rooms and go into each other's rooms for dinner when we got back to set. And yeah, it's done. We've got really close
That's
because,
so cool.
yeah, we're neighbors.
It's really interesting that you guys were eating together and hanging out together because I'm talking to a lot of different people from a lot of different shows. And as I've been interviewing, sorry, I'll just redo the question just
Yeah.
in case if it didn't catch it. So, as I've been interviewing people, I've been finding that either you're allowed to hang out together and you're, creating these great friendships, or you're not allowed to even speak to each other until the cameras are on. So, I love to find that you guys were able to just kind of foster those friendships. It's great.
Yeah, we were. And it does have its downsides. And there was times when we weren't necessarily supposed to be socializing, but we kind of just, did it anyways because we had really cool PA assistants, I guess that was probably why. But we would have to commute from the set to our hotels in vans, and we were kind of separated into groups of four. So the group of four that was in our van, it was like me, Juan, Amanda, and Cedric. So we kind of got close because we were driving back. We would always, order our food together or figure out what are you doing for dinner, and like, oh, this Puerto Rican place is really good. Oh, let's order it together this time. Um, but They also had us doing a lot of pre-recorded, like interviewing ourselves. Like they gave us these really nice cameras and they would have us film ourselves and do like video diaries, which they never aired any of it, but we were also doing that in our free time. When we were together, where we weren't together. Which yeah, kind of interesting, never really played out, but there's that footage floating around somewhere, and who knows? That's
That's
funny.
such a bummer. That would be so much fun to see all of that.
Yeah, it's fun to go by and look just for our own benefit. And then maybe one day I'll share more of it. But just like I have a video diary, yeah, of that whole experience that I'll probably have forever now.
I
But
love that.
yeah,
I love that. So when you guys were kind of sitting around and talking, was that on set?
there was a lot of time on set that we had in our green room. Um, we were really big into playing Uno and playing card games when we were in the green room. We would do puzzles, we would play Nintendo Switch. We were always kind of yeah, we couldn't watch TV, but we were always playing video games and or not video games, card games specifically. Um that helped us get a little close to each other too. We were out gambling with pieces of candy and like betting on poker chips with pieces of candy. So
I love that you guys were using candy considering it was School of Chocolate. It's so
yes,
appropriate.
right? I know. Really, yeah, that's ironic.
I love
Uh,
it. So, since you mentioned you guys couldn't watch TV, I did notice that when you were working on concepts, you guys had iPads. And I wanted to ask, were you limited in what you could search on the iPads? And how much time did you have to work on a concept, or were they just kind of always there and available to you?
Um, they were really nice. I don't know if they were iPads because I'm not the most technically savvy person there. I think they were like window touchscreen iPads thing, something with like a keyboard and an iPad. And they were very much sponsored by Windows, who was letting us use them, and we could use them for whatever we wanted to. Um, to digitally sketch was really cool to be able to use that tool. I didn't find myself using it as much as other people were using it, but we did have full range of use, and um we would always have at least 2 hours to prep prior to any challenge. Pastry challenge specifically, we would get 2 hours, and sometimes we would get more. What I think a lot of people don't know about um food 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 shows, reality cooking shows. I think majority of the time they do give you some kind of clue um and some time period to prep what that challenge is going to be, because they think the bottom line is these producers want to make good reality TV and they can't have you be too blindsided. So they would give us our theme, they would go over these theme requirements, these theme rules. We would have this signature signing session where we'd all agree on this competition format, and then they would give us time to prepare our ingredients. So we couldn't prepare our desserts, but we would get our mise en place in order. And we'd have an hour to do that. So we would work in this little prep kitchen, which was like a full kitchen, but had all ingredients in it behind the scenes, preparing all of our ingredients in deli cups and getting it ready for filming. And so we would be able to work in groups of four. So we would alternate one challenge. The group of four would go in and start prepping immediately. And then the next time, and then when they were prepping, we would have more time, the other four, to kind of develop the recipes and our game plans. And then we would alternate that process. So sometimes we would have like 2 hours to prep, sometimes we would have 4 hours to prep, and then always an hour to prep in the kitchen before the pastry challenges. And then that would determine who would go to the chocolate challenges. And so in the chocolate challenges, there was less prep time prior, but more prep time during. So I would say the prep time we had for these chocolate challenges, they would be like overnight prep time. So we wouldn't be able to be prepping anything in the kitchen, but we would be able to go home and brainstorm and conceptualize the methods and the techniques we were going to use to execute the chocolate, displays and showpieces that we were working on. So um it was a 2 month filming process, and it felt like it felt like it was a long time. It doesn't necessarily show up that way on screen, and you wouldn't know that that took so long, but we would film probably an episode a week. So every episode probably took a week to film. Um, and there were a couple weeks that were a little bit shorter, and there was a couple weeks at the end that were a little bit longer. But it was definitely a very time-consuming and tedious process to make it all come to life the way it did.
That's some great insight. I did interview Juan, and I didn't get quite as much insight on that part.
Cool.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And he had mentioned that when I asked him what was the pantry like there, he said it was like, imagine you're a kid in a candy shop, and that's what it's like.
Yeah.
What was walking into the pantry like for the first time for you? And was there something in there that you had never used before, or you were overly excited to see?
That's a great question too. Yeah, it was my goodness. Probably the chocolate. Obviously it was a chocolate show, but the amount of chocolate varieties and and then also the amount of like silicone molds and vessels for baking I'd never seen before. Like there was just, silicone mats and silicone molds and rubber molds and magnetic molds and all kinds of plexiglass molds, and the amount of creativity that was offered in this big kitchen was probably like the biggest thing that jumped out at me. Um, we also were able to like pick like 10 to 12 items that were like our wish list items. That we could just like, have a gourmet kitchen. Like what would we want to bring as our gourmet ingredients? And we each got to pick 10, and not everybody's ingredients all made it there. But I remember going in and looking for my ingredients. Like one of them, I remember being like freeze-dried corn, and just lent a really nice corn flavor and texture to that one of the desserts I made, which was the dessert taco. And if it wasn't for that ingredient, I don't think I would have had that flavor profile develop such a strong, memorable moment, which was what helped me so much. So yeah, they were very amazing. I always think about the person whose job it is to create that space and collect all these things, and I wanted to do that job. And she seems like she's got a fun job, but a hard job.
Yeah, well, shout out to any producers. Stephanie's up for that job.
Yes, somehow, yeah. A food
Oh,
set
I love it.
coordinator. I don't know what they call it, but yeah.
Did you have a favorite dessert or a favorite chocolate creation that you made on the show?
Probably my favorite one was the one that I was just mentioning, the dessert taco. Um, Only because the reaction it got was kind of was was a unique reaction too, because Jorge was like, "Why were you putting 9 different flavors like in one dessert?" But like you made it work somehow, because it was like sweet potato and chocolate and corn and oh my gosh, there was like cherry and white chocolate, and there was like a goat cheesecake that was in there. There was like sesame and so many things that kind of you would think like, what is she thinking? But the nuances somehow work together, and it really looked like a taco that I wanted to eat. And then it ended up um being one of the most well executed desserts I made. So not all of them came out perfectly, beautiful, and there was some big mishaps. So yeah, by process of elimination and the flavor profile offered, I think my favorite one was dessert taco.
That one was so neat. I have you remade any of them, either for work or just for fun at home? I'm just intrigued. I
No,
want the
you just
taco.
made me think about it. Now you brought it to mind. I was like, maybe I should try. We always, me and the cast, trying each other's desserts and that part of it. Always said like, oh, we're gonna remake this, but I've never remade any of the desserts from the show. But I've always wanted to. There were some really good ones, like the sunflower seed cake and that sunflower cake I made. Also, another really favorite item. that I'd want to remake. But definitely it's on my to-do list. And I think it's a great sales opportunity in the bakery I have going on to be able to offer, like, oh, if you go to the show, you can see me make this sunflower cake
Yes.
or this, dessert taco, and then market that. And people are like, oh, it's on TV. It's like a famous thing. So,
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. Smart, very smart.
forget.
I have no doubt. Well, something that I had noticed, and for anyone who's watching or listening, I do try to send out the questions ahead of time just so everyone can feel prepared and Stephanie can make this her own segment and make it all about her. And one of the questions I did ask you, it took me watching twice to notice. So I watched the entire show twice all the way through because I just loved it and I loved the concept. But what I noticed second time around was once in a while they would show you guys, and you had just mentioned it, trying each other's creations. So what was that
Yeah.
like? And did you learn anything from it? And just maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, that was such a natural thing that started happening. We initially were like, wait, can we save that? Because I want to try a little bit. And I would like making my desserts, try to like save some of my tiramisu for Juan afterwards. And he would like sneak it back up to his room, and then we would try to do that with each other. And then at some point the producers started being like, hey, wait, like don't start trying each other's things till we can get a camera crew and stay mic'd up so we can hear everything you're saying. And we kind of brought to life that interaction between us because we were each other's own biggest supporters and biggest fans, and we wanted to help each other get better, and that was a way to do that for us. um so it really helped us understand and connect with each other on a deeper level. And it brought us closer. It made us respect each other. It helped communication um, throughout the process. It was kind of like an evolution of Daniel's flavors, of Tavisha's flavors, of Amanda's flavors. And, I would be like, Cedric, how did you make this fondant taste so smooth and so cooked so nicely? And he's like, oh, here's the recipe. Like, don't worry. Like, I want you to help. I want to help get you to where you want to be. And we would tell each other that could use a little salt. And it was really amazing because you can actually see through the progress of the show how people's flavors got better because of the feedback they were getting in those little tasting sessions that we had. So um definitely was really encouraging for a lot of people.
I love that. And I just loved the whole concept of the show that it was more about learning and no one ever got eliminated. And I loved it. We need more shows like this. And we need more people like you on these shows because you're just so
Yeah,
much fun to watch.
it was fun. Yeah, I think I was there definitely for the fun, positivity, happy go lucky part of everything because it really was about the experience, not about winning for me the entire time I was there. I really just wanted to learn and absorb. And I would definitely say the pandemic played a role in making it the way it is because there was no way um, someone could get eliminated, and they kind of just wanted to keep the competition moving. They knew from the get-go that it wasn't going to be like an elimination style of a show because they wanted to keep us all in this bubble. Um, but but I also probably wouldn't have been drawn to doing the show had it not been for the pandemic because I was just kind of grasping for work. Being that the pandemic, I was working. Am I getting too ahead of myself right now?
No.
Okay, I didn't know if you were gonna ask this question, or maybe I'm waiting for you to answer, but
Oh,
ask.
no, it's okay.
Prior to me doing the show, I was unemployed for probably since March, through probably for a good 6 months prior. I was just kind of looking for work and figuring out how I can earn some, make a living because restaurants that shut down, they've been kind of trying to downsize their staff and kind of just have essential personnel only. So the pandemic really pushed me to look for other options. And how I was, brought to the show was through LinkedIn. I was just kind of applying, and there was like a casting producer on LinkedIn that was looking for pastry chefs. And I'd also done another show before on Food Network, So it was kind of on my resume that I had done stuff and I was looking to do more, but I always said I would like never do another cooking show after I did the New York show. But given that it was the pandemic, I was like, okay, my options are limited. Let me just take a shot here. Um, and it ended up being really cool. I think I was there for the right reasons. I was there to have fun and learn and support my team, and it really felt like we got extra close because we were just with each other so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because it was the pandemic, and
Yeah.
it really definitely there was a the whole food industry really took a hit during the pandemic. So it was so great to be able to see you guys all come
Yeah.
together and just support each other.
Yeah. And we had been cooped up and we were like, oh, there's people that are also kind of like cooped up and we get to go do something that's, granted we had to get masks, we had to wear masks constantly, we had to be tested weekly, and that was never really fun. I want to say we had to be tested twice weekly. Like it was a lot of COVID testing going on. We had to be swabbed a lot. Um, but all for good
Did
reason.
anyone ever get sick?
Um, Nobody ever got sick. It was kind of weird. Like we started with like the first day, there's probably 12 contestants, and then they somehow narrowed it down from 12 to 8 during that first day. And those other 12 contestants, the other like 4 contestants that I didn't get chose initially, I mean, whenever, I guess, for the show, they were always kept close by in case somebody got sick. So we were like, we knew they were in our apartment, but they were standbys in case somebody got sick.
Oh,
So,
that's really
so yeah, it was a really
interesting. Wow.
stressful challenge to get on the show. Like it was a whole process. It was like 3 months
Wow.
of a good 3 months of back and forth interviews with this producer, that executive, before they let us know that we had actually gotten on the show. Another thing that they did differently was they really heavily background checked us, and then they gave us a really in-depth like evaluation, where we had to meet with psychiatrists and take really extensive personality tests, to know that I think to just make it safe and eliminate any kind of potential risks involved with having us be so isolated for that long. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that is interesting. Since you mentioned that you were out of work right before the show and then you did the show, I wanted to ask, what are you doing now? Because I know there's some exciting stuff coming up.
Yes. Since joining the show, I've launched my own baking company. So it's currently called Steph the Chef Sweets, and we'll be doing a rebrand soon. It'll be changing names to Sweet Rose Baking Company. But Steph the Chef Sweets has helped really develop a name and a presence for myself here in this town, the community that I'm from. It's called Kernville, California. So it mentioned earlier, it's about 3 hours north of LA. And I am operating an ice cream sandwich food truck this summer. I'm always at the local farmers markets here in Kernville on Saturdays. And I'm always doing different pop-ups locally around this area. So you guys can find me here and there during the summer. And my food trailer will be right along the riverfront selling customized ice cream sandwiches this summer. Get your own ice cream, you pick your own cookie flavor, you put them together, you add your own toppings. It's a super cute way to stay cool and enjoy some delicious ice cream this summer up here. So that be more. Everybody can stay tuned and kind of stay up to date on the progress and the development of this new food trailer I'm opening. So my Instagram is at stephthechef on IG, and at Set the Chef on TikTok. And yeah, you guys should follow along. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening. So definitely stay connected and Sarah.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure anybody who's maybe listening in the car, I'll make sure to put her Stephanie's handles down in the show notes so you can follow along and support her. And I now I want a cookie sandwich.
I
Sounds like the
know,
perfect
Freddie.
lunch.
Breakfast, lunch, cookies are acceptable.
I
Um,
love it. I love it. And there are so many amazing events over in your area. Are you going to be doing any of like I know I used to go to Savor the Central Coast, and are you looking into any of those big events?
Now that I've got a mobile food operation, I want to start getting out there and doing more stuff in different locations. I'll be at a couple festivals in Tehachapi this coming up summer, and then I know of yeah, I'll put a whole list on my Instagram, and you guys can follow along because there's definitely a lot of events coming up, and dessert events, wine events, anything out in wine country. I know you said he's fluent Paso Robles, so that direction is right up my alley. Perfect.
Nice, nice. And maybe even, bring the truck along to some of the bigger wineries.
Would love to take it places, yeah. So that's gonna be really exciting. Coming up, what we got going.
Awesome, awesome. So just to bring it back to the show, and I definitely want you to plug all of your work as well at the end, but there was something that really kind of stuck out to me. In the last episode, there was this great just camaraderie, this girl power moment. You were working with Melissa on her last creation. And I wanted to ask, what was that like helping someone else to excel and hopefully win? And then it was so disappointing when you had to walk away from that. So could you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you're really taking me back. I was just so grateful throughout this whole process to be working with chefs like Melissa and like Amanda, like Chef Tiago, and then to just be surrounded by other talented chefs like Daniel and Juan. And it kind of just naturally, in that final process, was divided up between the guys, Juan, Tiago, um, Daniel on one side. They were so talented and they worked so well together. And that energy was so powerful. I think it was a mix of emotions and just being surrounded by so much great talent. And I was just so much gratefulness, so much talent. Um, but when it came to working with Melissa and Amanda, I really wanted um that feminine energy to just like make us to give us the boost to win. And so Melissa had kind of grown to be almost like a big sister. I really saw her as someone I looked up to. Um, and we were just really comfortable feeling our emotions around each other. Um, the way that it showed up was I think just showing a lot of support for each other. And it was a little bit of sadness of just not being able to participate anymore. So it was sad for myself that I couldn't keep going in the competition. Happiness for Melissa, gratefulness to be surrounded by so much talent with Juan and Tiago, and just kind of wanting it all to be over almost, and just kind of just a cumulative moment of emotions, and just kind of ready for it to kind of end and um, be final. Um, it was it seemed like 4 months. That 2 month period was so long. We were isolated from our families, and we all were just very emotional, missing them, and wanted to get back to our homes and our families. And it was so close. It could have gone either way. So I felt like leaving Melissa was just taking away that little bit of extra chance that she needed. But both ways, yeah, it was just good to see Juan win, which I was just also so happy to see him win, and he deserved it. So yeah,
Yeah.
good
Did you guys
times.
have a wrap party or a party at the end? Or any watch parties?
We didn't necessarily have, well, I guess in the COVID sense, we did. We had a little wrap party on stage, where I popped a bottle of champagne. We all got to toast together, and I wish I would have done that, but that was a great memory of all of us together. Cast, crew, we got a nice cast photo. Um and everybody got to say goodbye then. That was part of the filming. And then after we did that, we all went back to our apartment and had another little bonfire and had a couple drinks. Just a small, intimate little get together with us, 8 of us. Um, the night it wrapped, and then, like I said, everybody was just so ready to get back to their lives and their families. It was right before Thanksgiving, and everybody went back to Thanksgiving to their families, and then we had to wait a year, and nobody really talked for a year, but they gave us a full year of waiting before they released it, told us anything. And so um, once it came out, they got close to coming out, we started getting a little bit close again, and we always had an Instagram group chat that kept us connected, and we would still talk to Ray. We haven't talked on that group chat in a while, but I think we might bring it back to life after this and let them know they need to come listen to this cool day podcast.
I I would love that. And Wanzu's already up, so yeah, they can definitely
I
check
didn't
that
even know
out.
that was on. Yeah.
Yeah, he is so sweet.
He is the best. Like, Juan and I kicked it off from the first day we got on set. And Juan is probably one of the only, well, Juan is one of the only 2 people I've seen since the show wrapped, like in real life. And we have gone out. He's come to visit in LA, and we've hung out a couple times. And then I also had lunch and got to see Amanda once in Las Vegas when she was out there with some of her students for a competition. I flew out to visit her. And Melissa and I always stay in contact on Instagram, same with Tarisha. And yeah, I'm always rooting for everyone's success. It's so fun to follow along and see how well Tiago's New Bakery's doing and how successful Danielle's business has come. And they're always, all of them are always an inspiration. And yeah, I still feel tons of gratitude, tons of just pure happiness when I think about that experience we all got to have. So
That's so great.
it's
Well, you
nice
had
to talk.
mentioned that after you had done the Food Network show, you had said you would never do another one of these shows again. Did your time on School of Chocolate kind of change your perception of that, or are you done with TV?
You know, I would do it again. But because I feel like I've learned so much. Like, School of Chocolate did teach me a lot. It made me a little bit more resilient. Um, Something maybe no one knows about or wants to talk about is the amount of negativity and backlash you can get from being on shows. But doing this kind of just makes you realize, if the more success, the more haters, and you got to kind of take the good with the bad. So knowing that and believing in that and realizing the power of that the doing these shows can bring, and the impact it does have. People remember me most from the positivity and the happiness and the lightheartedness I brought to the show. And that's what I take with me, and that's what I hold on to. And knowing that I can impact the world a little bit more with my sweets, just make it a little happier, make it a little brighter, create a new memory for somebody. That's what it's all about. And that's why I do what I do. Um,
I love it.
so I do it again,
I love
make memories to any time.
Well, you definitely make the world a little bit sweeter. So thank you for that.
Aw.
And thank you for making such a fun, impactful show. And I'm sure you're already aware, but it's such a big hit with the kids. In fact, my partner's daughter is like chomping at the bit to talk to you because she's such
Oh
a
my
fan.
gosh. Yes.
But the kids
Tell her I
love
said
your
hello.
show. I will. I
And
will.
yeah, it never stops amazing me when someone comes up and recognizes me. It seems crazy. I'm just a normal person. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And I hope more people get out there and try baking. It's really fun. It's great for kids. It teaches them so much. Um, I hope I can work with kids more one day too. It's great.
Oh, that would be great. You would be so much fun to teach kids baking, maybe in your area or one of
Yes.
the schools around. That would be so
Yeah.
great, so much
Very
fun.
cool.
Well, what else would you like to share or plug about what's coming up or yourself? I just want to give you a
I
moment.
just encourage everyone to follow along on my Instagram. That's the best way to stay in contact. And I want you guys to stay tuned, and I'll be giving more information on my Instagram about Sweet Rose Baking Company. It's something to look forward to. There'll be a little bit coming out more. There'll be a lot coming out more about that. So just stay tuned and stay connected to stephthechef on Instagram, and that'll give you all the info. Stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Thank you for making
Thanks.
time in your very busy schedule for me.
Yes, it's great. And thank you for having me. It's been
Oh,
fun.
yes. Thank you. Thank you. And everyone, stay tuned to the next episode of Who's Reality Cooking. Be sure to check out all of Stephanie's Instagram and TikTok handles. I will definitely have them in the show notes for
Yeah.
you. So, on
Great.
to the next. Thanks so much,
Okay.
Steph.
Bye, Audrey. Thank you.
Bye.